Testing. Testing. Okay, so if you're watching this video, this most likely means I recommended you here, and it was a requirement for um, the coaching session that goes afterwards. So this video is going to basically go over everything you can passively do to increase your chances of winning as a player working with your teammates, and then we're going to go over all the different map mechanics um, that you can abuse with your hero that will increase your chances of winning that you probably did not know about. Afterwards, we're just going to talk about like different things that you can do to just increase your chances of winning, just like in a side of teamwork or whatever. We might go a little out of order, but yeah, let's begin. So the first thing that you can do to passively increase your chances of winning, some of you guys already do this, but at the bottom right of your screen, this little cog thing, click it, go to options, language and region, and you want to set your game server to whatever gives you the lowest amount of ping. A lot of people don't really care about this, but some people have like hero pools where they play stuff like Vala, like Phoenix. That's like what I play too. I play a lot of Vala and Li Ming. Um, if you're playing on like 73 ping, like you get best match and you play on like higher ping, you're gonna have trouble dodging abilities on really low HP pool characters. So it's like it's not ideal. Your wait time is gonna get higher, but ideally we want to do quality over quantity. So yeah, that's step number one. Okay, so now let's say you're getting into a game. I think you should always join voice comms no matter what. If there's absolutely no one in it, like 0 people, you don't need to join. But let's just say there's even one person. When you join voice comms, you're empowering just that one person to play better, even if you don't say anything. It's a little bit of like a passive thing, but yeah. Let's say you join voice comms and there's like 2 people, 3 people, whatever, and one of those people are like harassing you or whatever. They're annoying, you don't like them. Basically, you should do this, and I do this literally in all of my Grandmaster games too, or any account I play on. If someone's being annoying, stay in the voice comms, just mute that person, but keep feeding them information, like being like, hey, we should gank this, we should do that. Like even though they're being annoying or they're being toxic or whatever, and this goes for chat as well. Like let's say they're typing stuff you don't like, you can toggle off like mute them, and still like let's say they're not in comms and you want to type them a message, you can still tell them what to do. So that's like really important. Um, Basically what you want to be doing is like when you're in comms and whatever and your team's down in the game, you want to be telling them, oh, we're constantly like we're scaling, we still have a good shot, because a lot of the times I think like in lower elo games, you might have like a character or two with like some kind of insane scaling, like you might have like a Zeratol or a Lucio or whatever, and your team comp is actually supposed to lose very hard until that level or whatever. Like a lot of people who pick Zeratul don't know that their team's supposed to be losing the entire time until they're level 16. So yeah, so it's a lot about keeping your team motivated. I go over this in like the private coaching and go way more into depth. So that's basically a lot of the passive. Now we're gonna go over all the different abusable map mechanics that you can basically take advantage of. Starting with Battlefield of Eternity. So Battlefield of Eternity has a solo lane, which is generally one person top, and then a 4-man bot. And a lot of times in high level games, like one of the people who are bot, the 4 people can be like a roamer, like Genji or whatever. This isn't that important until you're like around at least Masters. Basically, what you can do if you're that roamer person is like every time like you push the wave in bot, you can like go top before the next wave comes and like pressure top. Let's say the 4-man bottom has absolutely no pushing power, like they have a chromie or whatever. You can just not even show up to, bot. You can be like, oh, you know what, let's push top together, me and you, especially if it's a melee character you're facing because you're ranged. If you're like one of the 3, like, you know, Genji, Falstad or whatever, and you can just get their turrets for free while your team like clears safely behind wall, and they probably won't even get a turret. But that's like more advanced strategy, so we're not going to go over that too much. So let's just say you're the 4-man bot. It's 1 minute and 20 seconds in whatever the camp spawn. You guys get 1 kill. Here's what you need to do immediately. You need to ping your team, yo, let's do camp right away, the bottom one. Because that 1 kill basically guarantees you that camp. They're not going to contest you 3-on-4. The camp's pretty easy to take. So you just do that camp, you cap it. Now you have that camp. So that camp's going to be pushing the bot lane. So a lot of top laners, like the solo lane, are like bruiserish characters that can solo the camp. What you really want to do at that point, because they have to deal with the camp, you want to tell the other 3 people who are with you bottom, yo, can you guys chill a little bit, just clear the wave, you can protect the camp so it gets a little bit of damage or whatever. But what you want to do is you want to go top and tell your team top, hey, I'll hold your lane, you do the camp, because they can't actually send the second person top because they have to like deal with the camp bottom. And if they do send more people, like your camp bottom's gonna get value, and you can always just pull off the camp and leash it and fight them 2-on-2 or whatever. But generally, like 99% of the time, it's just going to be that one person top, and all 4 people are going to have to deal with the camp bottom. So you go top, you hold the lane, you know, you push, clear, whatever, while your teammate does the top camp. And basically, you got experience for the camp bottom. Like each camp is roughly like 1/4 to 1/3 of like a level. I mean, not 1/4 to 1/3 of a level, 1/4 or 1/3 of a kill. So probably 1/3 of a kill. So you get the camp bottom and you get the kill top, and that's basically almost like a kill and experience for free. And you're getting like the siege damage off of both of the camps. After like you do the second camp top, like you might get the warning like for the immortal spawning. Generally, the second you see the warning, the 30-second sign, you need to tell your team to go do camp. Like if you have one person who could solo it, that's always ideal. But generally, most of the time, you want at least 2 people doing it. 3 is okay, but you want to have like people still soaking, like maybe one person in each lane. So generally 3 is usually the maximum. Like if both of the lanes are already like pushed into the wall, like you can have 4 people doing it. It doesn't matter. So now you did the camp, and now the immortal spawn. Look at your team comp at the top left, like your character's portraits or whatever. If your team has not that much race, like very little race, that generally means your team has a lot of CC or a lot of burst damage. So what you want to be doing is you want to tell your team to go on defense, and you want to clear the camp. A lot of the time, the team on the other side will just send all their heroes to race, and they can't really race you because if they have a lot of race heroes, they don't have CC, and they're really easy to kill. They're very vulnerable. So you want to have one person clearing their camp that they did on the other side of the map, unless it's obviously like your defense side is on your side of the map, like top, then that's extremely good, or bottom, whichever side they cap their camp on. Then the guy who's clearing the camp is close to you, and like they can easily rotate. But if not, you're just going to be wanting to defend safely. On the flip side though, if you have a lot of like race, like you can obviously go to their immortal. If you see they're defending it, then you obviously want to tell your teammate to go clear their camp, and you can just slowly poke it with like, you know, arrows or like missiles over the wall, like whatever like you have. But at the end of the day, you want to play slow. Battlefield, there's not too much strategy. It's mostly like a team fight map. It's probably the most team fight map out of all of the current battlegrounds. Maybe Infernal Shrines is a little more, but there's like just a lot of defense and offense, like pushing and fighting under immortals. The one thing I will say about like the immortal phases is you want to always be patient. Like a lot of the time, up until even masters, like someone gets bored and they just jump on top of like your Vala or something, and at that point you want to just be saying in comps, everybody peel for Vala, and that guy just dies for free because he's the only one dealing damage because he dove too hard, and none of his teammates can like follow up on damage. Thank you for the follow, Advent Blood. So yeah, that's like generally what you want to do. You want to be patient, you want to be poking a lot. On the flip side though, if you're defending under your immortal and they are like pushing into you, you don't actually have to be patient. Like generally if you're defending and you don't have that much race, you have a lot of CC, you should like coordinate like blowing someone up. But that's mostly Battlefield. Let's say you have level 10 first and they're like level 9 and they're not even close to 10. You instantly want to be calling out to push forts. Like let's say both their forts are up, like one of them's low, one of them's like full life, but like the wall's down. You want to go straight to bot, take the fort. As soon as the fort's down, just go straight to top, take that fort. They can't do anything. If they try to contest those forts, you literally just kill them because you have ults on them. But generally, when you have 10 on another team, that's your most important time. Like most people just waste, like even in Grandmaster games, most people are just wasting their time. So this is like incredibly important not to waste your time when you have 10 on the other team. So that's Battlefield. There's not really much of a strategy. It's just snowballing your advantage. Battlefield is a map where a lot of teams end the game at level 10 if they get a full shield and they have talent on the other team. So yeah. Now moving on to Braxis. So Braxis is like obviously similar to BOE a little bit, where you have one person top, 4 people bottom, and you can have one person roaming around to like, if you have like a losing 4-on-4 matchup. Like if they have the better 4-man, you obviously want to be going top more so you can secure at least one beacon. Um, Generally, Braxis has like the same kind of like recipe as like other maps. You want to have like one wave clear hero so you can always have control of bottom. One tank that's like extremely good on the point, like, you know, Garrosh, Joanna, stuff like that, and one AoE healer. If you have like, I'm not saying you can pick all of those at the same time, but generally, like when you're in draft, you want to be telling your team, yo, we should get like an AoE healer, like Mal, Stukov, whatever, and you want to get like a tank that's good on the point and a wave clear hero. Um, so the trick to Braxis is basically very similar to Battlefield. As soon as you get one kill, you want to go to the well, this only applies if you're on the left side actually. If you get one kill and you're on the side with the two flame bat things, you can do that camp right away with just the one kill pressure. If you're on the other side, you actually can't do that because that camp takes way too long to do at early levels. So you're just probably pushing the wall or whatever. Because you can't really take that 4-part camp. It does way too much damage and you'll lose all your tempo. On the flip side, if you have like a Genji or something, he can maybe go abuse like top while like that guy's been dead for a while. Yeah. So if you get level 10 first on Braxis, you want to be going straight to boss, doing it. Like Braxis is really snowbally. If you do not win bot, like let's say your team comps just some really weak thing, like you have some weird draft, and they've got like, you know, the Gul'dan, the Garrosh, the Mal for Stukov, like they've just got like a killer 4-man comp. You can actually just go top, send one person top, and be like, yo, let's drag someone else top. And then when they have two people top, you can send that one person back down. It's kind of like Braxis is really like a dancing game. Like if you're the weaker comp early, you want to be doing like a lot of dancing, like running up and down. But generally, on Braxis, you want to just clear the wave as fast as possible and look to fight on the point. A lot of people, what they do is they just don't push the wave. They do the second step first. They're just like, there's 4 people just fighting on the point. If you like have like a good wave clear hero and you push the wave in, like they have to deal with that wave. So whoever's dealing with that wave isn't doing damage, and now you have 4 heroes like hitting their tank or whatever. Generally, you want to be focusing the tank on Braxis because it's generally the tanks on the point and like 3 people behind that like semi-curved wall that you can't really see them, or you can see them but they're too far back to do like too much damage. So generally you're hitting the tank a lot of the time. So what you want to be doing when you have a Zerg is this. So you want to focus the first 2 turrets obviously as fast as possible because that's killing your Zerg. But after those 2 turrets are down, you want to be telling your team to dive as much as possible because they can't deal with you and the Zerg at the same time. So you have like, if you have like a comp like with a stun tank or whatever and a lot of damage, you can be focusing their heroes really hard when the Zerg is hitting their like fort. If they're hitting you, that means your Zerg is getting a ton of value. If they're hitting the Zerg, that means you can just hit them and you're not taking any damage in retaliation. Obviously, you want to back up if you're low, but generally this is the playstyle you want to do if you want to take the fort with first Zerg. Let's say you get the first fort and your Zerg has like not that much left, like let's say like 6k Zerg left and it's like still pushing a little bit. You want to send your entire team from like, let's say your first Zerg was bought, you want to send your entire team top and just try to get like a quick wall. If they bring their entire team top after you get the wall, you can back up, tell your solo laner who is top to go bottom because you already took the fort. You have nothing to push there anymore. You're not going to push to their keep wall that early in the game. So you tell your solo laner, go bot, like we've got top. After you've taken their wall, let's say you didn't even take their wall, but you got a lot of damage, like they came early or whatever. You just like, now that the phase is ended, you want to get both your camps out. You generally have a big lead. If you get 10 first, obviously rip boss, I already said that. But you want to just be pushing with your top camp. You can obviously look for an invade at that point if you're up talent and they're like screwing around top lane with 4 heroes and they're not actually doing their camp too. If they do their camp and you do yours and you have a talent on them, aggressively clear their camp before they can clear yours. Like don't let them get damage on your camp. If they're like hitting your camp, like you want to be zoning out their heroes so you can get more chip damage. And then like the next phase spawns, it's like the same exact strategy as before. You're just on like the other side of the map, focus the tank, whatever, get the Zerg. So let's say it was the first phase and you lost the Zerg. What you really want to be doing is you really want to be thinning out the Zerg. So I see a lot of people fighting past the Zerg like before it's even thinned out. You generally, the only option you have to fight past, like let's say like they're overextended or whatever, you want to be doing that when the Zerg's really low, like about like 10 to 5k. Even 10's a little high, but that's generally like the best point if you have like extremely, I mean, the best you're gonna get if you have like extremely good team fight heroes that can like tank a little of the Zerg damage. But anything above 10k is you're probably gonna lose a 4-on-4 fighting in there Zerg, because it does a decent amount of damage to you. So you really want to be generally focusing the Zerg. What a lot of people mistake they make is they're too far forward. Like the other team can do what I said about how like they can just fight past, like fight into your faces with their Zerg. At that point, like if you don't have like a lot of damage, like you might just lose your fort, and you have to accept that. Braxis is an extremely snowbally map. That's why a lot of people hate it. The worst thing you can do is die. Even one person die while they have that Zerg. If you die, the fort is just dead no matter what. Like maybe like the fort will live with like very low HP, and they'll like do something stupid and try to take it, and you can get like 2 kills for it, and that makes it like worth it. But yeah, that's basically Braxis. Very snowbally map. The team that generally gets ahead will win, but there's a lot of comebacks. Like people like always make mistakes when they're ahead a lot. But yeah, that's Braxis. So the next map, Cursed Hollow. This map actually has the most abusable map mechanics out of any of the maps listed here. So we're gonna go over all of them. So everybody goes mid, like 10 heroes, whatever. Both sides are clearing the minion waves. So generally, if you're the person who's doing mercs on your team, you're gonna be wanting to go bot or top, wherever like the siege camp is, clear that wave. But that doesn't necessarily mean you're gonna be doing the siege camp first. So let's say 1 minute pops, like the siege camp pops and the night camp pops. A lot of people just run to the siege camp right away. That's actually a mistake. What you want to actually do is look for the curse indicator, which spawns 15 seconds after 1 minute, so around 1:15. Let's say you're on the side where the giants are bot, and the curse is bottom too. Like the curse indicator shows that whenever it spawns, it's going to be bottom. You want to be doing your giants first, so you will want to go to your giants. The reason why is this: you're not going to get that much value out of your giants like when the curse actually spawns, because when the curse spawns, they can just clear your giant's bot and be right there. But on the flip side, let's say the curse is top and your giants are bot, you want to do your knights first. If you're a hero like Sonya or Greymane, you can probably solo it, but if you're not like an incredibly good merc hero, you want to do it with one other person, and you want to push their wall. Generally, if you do your knights and they don't, you can just get a wall for free 99% of the time. So you want to do the knights first, get that out, make sure everybody else is still soaking all 3 of the lanes, because what ends up happening when teams do mercs is like nobody calls out that like, oh yo, soak my lane. Like the person who was bot, who goes to do the giants or the knights, like there's still 2 people mid, like that person, like the people mid didn't go to cover the soak. So you want to be like informing your team, hey, I need someone to cover the soak while I go do mercs, because the knights are giving you EXP, and you can just get a free EXP lead from just covering all of the soak and doing mercs, and them not doing mercs. Like a lot of people don't do mercs on Cursed Hollow. Even in Grandmaster games, a lot of teams don't do the knights. The knights is literally just a free wall mid, so you want to get knights out of your wave. Let's say you do like ideal conditions. You do your knights first, get the wall, and then you do your giants. The curse spawns top. Let's say they send all 5 of their heroes top. You get so much value out of those giants. It's insane. On the flip side though, let's say they did their giants and the curse is top, and you don't have the best team fight, at least early game. I would actually recommend giving up the first tribute and clearing out those giants, because maybe you get a kill and you get the tribute. I still think they're going to be net positive on their EXP, because their giants might take a wall. You might miss like a minion wave on top of like the giants getting the wall. Like there's a lot to lose. There's a good chance that someone might not even show up to the tribute, and they might just take the entire fort. Like I've done that a lot. Like a Greymane just literally takes the fort while like the 5 people are top, and like 1 tribute for a fort is like insanity. Like you never want to trade that. But yeah. So timing the camps properly is extremely important. It gives you like a lot of passive advantages that nobody ever tries to do. A lot of people don't time it right or whatever. So now the tribute fight itself, what you want to be doing on the tribute. So the most important thing on Cursed Hollow is being patient. The tribute itself does not matter. Like you can give up all three of the tributes and you're still going to be in the game. We'll go over why that is a little bit, like when we get to the third tribute. So let's say it's the first tribute, like the camps are like doing whatever, like you're clearing theirs, they cleared yours, and now you just have all 10 of the heroes. Patience is the most important thing on this map. You want to be extremely patient. You want to wait for someone to make a mistake, and people make so many mistakes on tributes. Someone's going to walk up and do something dumb. Focus that guy, get your team to focus them. You don't generally want to be capping the tribute, even if you have way better team fights. Like the only time you want to be like capping the tributes is if they're so low on life that like you can secure it. But generally what you want to be doing is let them like channel it a little bit and poke them off, hit their tank. Like if they're channeling, that's one hero not doing anything while you have one person interrupting them and dealing damage to them, and you're poking the other like tank on their team or whatever. So yeah, let's say you have like a really big health advantage on them. Their heroes are like going to tap or whatever and they're low life. Generally, a lot of the times when you're channeling, one hero is going to like, if they don't have like a poke ability, like they're like Greymane or whatever, they're going to jump on top of that guy. Just kill him for free. That should just be free because the other people are tapping or they're low. If they're poking you from far away, just like, you're probably zoning them out. So just deal damage to them and keep them low. Eventually, it's like, the tributes are like more of a war of attrition. Like you generally don't ever want to all in, you just want to make them low, and if they all in, you just kill them, which generally happens most of the time because people are dumb and they're like, oh, I can't give up this tribute, I just have to stop this, and then they die. You also want to be, let's say you're on the side where you're low, you want to be like spamming in chatter comms, give, because if you're lower life pools than them and you don't have taps, or like too many people are going to tap at the same time, like you're not winning that. They're not getting any experience out of the tribute. Like the tributes just, they like up the count to 1, 2, 3. So if you're losing, best thing to do is cut your losses there, because maybe you're like the scaling comp and they have the early game comp, like they have the Genji, the Sonya, whatever, I don't know, like early game heroes. So let's say you've cursed the other team now. If you've cursed the other team, you want to put as much emphasis on pushing the lane that your boss is in. The reason why this is like you generally end the game on Cursed Hollow at level 20, winning a team fight, and then doing boss, and boss going to court, and you just end. So the lane you want to push the least is middle. Middle, like, if none of their team, like let's say you have like 5 bot or 4 bot and 1 top, which is a global like Falstad or whatever, who's just getting soaked, like, or Dahaka or whatever, that like those minions middle just like push, at least get the wall and get a lot of fort damage, so you don't really need anybody middle. And if they have 1 middle and 1 top and you have 4 on 3 bottom, you can just dive them, but they're probably not even going to be able to like stop you from taking the fort. If you have a talent tier on them, let's say when you got your curse you're level 10 and they're not, you should actually keep going bottom and push their wall as well, because if you have an open wall, that means the next boss you take will probably guarantee a keep. So yeah, if you're not up talent, you can like basically reevaluate your situation there. I mean, it's okay to push mid fort if there's absolutely nothing to do with your curse otherwise, like you don't want to be doing camps. Like obviously what you can do after you've taken the fort is if you see a lot of people top for whatever reason, if they're just being dumb and the curse is still going on for another 15 seconds, you can just tell your team, yo, we can just rush boss or whatever, and maybe you might get a free double boss if you have enough merc pressure. But generally at that point, I guess pushing mid's okay, get a little bit of the experience, like chip damage on the fort. You probably won't get the whole fort unless it was already like half, because you don't have that much curse time left. But generally get a little bit of damage, maybe poke their heroes a little bit, and then back up and go do mercs or whatever. You can probably force boss if you have like 10 on them. If your team comp is like exponentially stronger than them, like they have like Nazebo and like Rainer or whatever, and you have like even a basic talent lead on them, like 13 to 10, then like even if like they have all 5 heroes up, it's like kind of a good idea to rip boss. Likewise, if you have like Zarya or Tyrael and you have a talent tier who can like automatically secure the boss, you obviously want to rip the boss too. If you ever take their boss and you know they're not doing anything like important they're not doing their boss. Even if they are doing their boss, a lot of the time, just go run to their boss, like go do their boss that well, and then you can push the top lane. If you know you're gonna get a keep for sure, and you know they're not doing their boss, like sometimes it's actually a good idea to just push with the bot. Maybe you can end the game. This is like a very minor percentage of the time. I'd say like 10%. But yeah, that's basically Cursed Hollow. So patience is extremely important. Um, Playing around the map mechanics that revolve around the curse is very important. And knowing your win conditions, which is your boss lane. If boss lane isn't your win condition, then maybe their boss lane, like maybe you've gotten their top, like maybe you've double bossed and yeah, the opposite lane is already exposed core, then your win condition is their boss. But that's Cursed Hollow. So now moving on to the next map, which is Dragonshire. So this map is all about tempo. You really want to have one wave clear hero in the 4-man. That's even more important than having like a hero that can do mercs or whatever. But generally, this map is a lot of tempo. You want to be rotating a lot mid to bot. One of the mistakes people make a lot on this map is like they have like 4 men and they're like, oh, let's rotate or whatever, and they go mid, clear the wave, then go bot, clear the wave, then go mid, and they just keep repeating it. When the shrines spawn, you generally want to have one person bot at all times, if not 3 people bot, and you want to have just one person rotating to clear mid and then coming bot to help the team. That's generally the ideal strategy you want to use, because if you keep rotating and the enemy team's winning top, they might just leave one person bot and keep stealing bot cap from you, and then they're gonna have both, and you're gonna have to be forced to stay mid. But going a little earlier back before the point spawn, like the shrine point spawns on Dragonshire, you generally want to be knocking out your camps on spawn. The reason why is if you do your camps when the shrine point spawn, you lose so much tempo, and they can just get a DK extremely easy. So you want to knock out your giants right away, knock out those knights quickly, maybe 2 people, and still have one person soaking. You obviously want to tell that person, play really safe, we're doing mercs. Their team's probably not going to be doing mercs. So that person's going to be really vulnerable and they need to play safe. Like if they're not a wave clear hero, maybe soak the wave under their wall and try not to let them take too much like turret damage off your turrets. Like poke them, not the minion wave. Like your characters will clear the wave. So that's mostly Dragonshire. If you ever get killed, like 2 people get killed on your team, you want to be running to the other side of the map that they didn't win a fight on. So let's say they want to fight bottom really hard, you want to like beeline top and just like protect that point with whoever your solo is, like get a lot of damage on your thing. If they all show up top, then hopefully have like that last person on your team like hovering around bot and like back cap that point. Generally, like it's nice to have like one person on Dragonshire who's like a mobility hero, who can always like rotate quickly, just because of this, like when you lose a fight, like not letting them get DKs. But yeah, like if they like manage to get both of the points and your team's just way too far from respawn timers, like there's still 2 people dead for 20 seconds, you just have no choice to give up the DK. But let's say like you have one person back capping and the 2 respawn timers are only like 5 seconds left. Like you can fight them mid a little bit, like you'll lose a lot of health, but like you're at least not giving up the DK. You can get a back cap, and then now your whole team's alive, and you can contest it again. That's mostly Dragonshire. Like the most important thing is just keeping so much tempo, and just focusing on what you're gonna do after someone dies on your team, and focusing on what you're gonna do if someone on their team dies. Like what am I gonna do to abuse this one death, because it's such a tempo map. Generally invading their camps is not the strategy you want. You want to be like playing for the DK as much as possible and pressuring DK, because once you get both of the altars, it's extremely easy to get kills. One of the mistakes people make is they're just like, oh, I'm just gonna channel while my team pokes. Like if that person walks up close to the channel point, just literally whoever's capping and you just jump on that guy and literally take 80% of his life, and then you can channel. Like you're not just gonna channel while he's poking you. Like that's a mistake I see a lot of people making. Let's say you get the DK. What you want to be doing with the DK, first DK or whatever, if mid wall is down, you just want to be going straight bot. All of your DKs go bot. The only thing you want mid is those first two turrets because they give a lot of EXP. And I guess maybe they're well, like if there's no one mid and you took their two turrets, like, and your team's already pushing bot, like, maybe you can grab their well too. I can understand that. But if most of the time it's just better to take the two turrets, go bottom, take their two turrets, take their well bot. If you can, like, if your DK is still healthy. I know the timer is really low. Generally, the most you'd actually get, because the timer is extremely low for the first one, is 4 turrets and maybe a well. That's like generally all you get. So yeah, you do that. Every subsequent DK goes bottom. You push the fort bottom, then you go push the bot wall bottom with, and then you go to like the keep. The reason why you don't want to be wasting like any of the DK's health on mid fort, and there's like a time and a place where you take the mid fort. Let's say you're really close to a talent advantage and that fort will give you talent, then you can take the mid fort. That is the only scenario that you push the mid fort. Because generally what ends up happening is if you're getting DKs, you're snowballing the game, you're going to get 10 first. If you have 10 first, you can just push the fort with ultimate advantage on them. Like, you don't need to use the DK's health for that. Because the reason why is this. If you have catapults in top or bottom, you're never going to get catapults top because you're not going to push the death bridge. That's just retarded. Once you get catapults in the bottom lane, controlling that shrine is so easy because that lane's always going to be pushed. You're always going to have vision of them. You're always going to know what they're doing. So, like, if you see, like, your catapults show that nobody's on the bot side, you can literally just make the difference that, like, they're sending their whole team top, and you can send more people top and just leave maybe one person bot who's a global or can rotate quickly. So, yeah, that's the reason why catapults are so important. You basically, if you get catapults in the bot lane, your chances of winning the game are close to 70%. At that point, maybe even a little bit higher if, like, they haven't outscaled you, like they have like a scaling comp or whatever. And once you get to keep bottom, it makes them just have to force fights so much, and they're going to take bad fights. If you get like a couple kills late game and you get the DK, you just end the game. And that's pretty much Dragonshire. That's how Dragonshire actually ends 90% of the time in Dragonshire. A team gets catapults, they have way too much pressure, they play it slow and wait for you to make a mistake. You make a mistake, you feed, you get DK, and the game's over. So yeah, that's basically Dragonshire. The next map is Infernal Shrines. Out of all of the maps, this is the most simple map. It's the least like abusable map mechanics in the game. So let's just go over it. So Infernal Shrines is kind of what you want to be doing with Dragonshire. It's a little bit momentum early, like pushing the tempo. This map you actually can do what I said not to do on Dragonshire. You can actually go mid, bot, and rotate a lot. But generally, if you have like a big wave clear advantage, at 1 minute you want to just knock your camp out right away. If your camp is done and you still have the tempo advantage, maybe send one person top to just get your top laner health advantage so he has control of the lane. There's not really much to do early. Like, the best snowball you can do is this. You knock out your camp on your side of the map and they haven't done theirs. And you can snowball that to bot camp as well, because while they're clearing their camp, they have heroes there. You can get bot camp. That's a decent EXP lead. Generally, you're going to have a bruiser player top. As soon as your team hits level 4, you want to tell that guy to go do the shaman camp, and you'll hold their lane. Because generally, at the second you hit level 4, and it's always been like this on Infernal Shrines, as soon as you hit level 4, if you run to camp, you have just enough time to do it and make it to shrine at like a perfect time as soon as you hit level 4. This is a little bit like a gray area where, like, in lower elos, maybe your team is missing a lot of soak, so you might not actually get 4 at the time you should. But if everybody's soaking at even 90% of the minions are getting soaked, 90 to 80%, like, people aren't screwing around. And obviously if you're missing soak and getting kills, it's also just as good. You'll still get level 4 at the right time. But if you're generally covering most of the soak, you'll hit level 4 and you can get your like bruiser solo lane to do the knights, and they're probably not doing theirs because a lot of people don't do this. And if it's mid or bottom, that knights camp will get so much value. I've seen it like take forts a lot. I mean, the shaman camp, it'll take like maybe their wall and their well, and if you get their well too, like, or a lot of fort damage, like, that'll generally help you a lot for when like the next shrine phase is like in that lane, like the top lane or whatever. So what you want to be doing on shrines, and this is the misconception that everybody makes. I mean, this is the most simple map of all times, but you just want to be focusing the things. Like a lot of people don't do this. Like hopefully you're drafting heroes on this map that have like decent shrine clear. There's so many. There's an abundance of heroes that are good at doing this, like KT, Sonya, Hanzo with explosive arrows. There's just so many. Like I'm just giving like small examples. You just generally want to be focusing the shrine. Like a lot of times, other teams just hitting you. You're getting the shrines, but if you're in the right position, you're not taking that much damage. If you get a big lead, like 20 or 25, like you generally just get it most of the time. But a lot of mistakes people make is when they have a big lead, like 30 or whatever, they're getting too attached to getting the little like pumpkin things or whatever they're called. Um, and then they kill you, and then they can clear your thing for free. So when you get 30, you like around 25, even 20 sometimes, 25 to 30, you want to look at your team's health bars and reevaluate the situation because you've been focusing the pumpkins more. If they're all full life and you have people around 70 to 65%, what you can say is like spam your V button and tell your team, hey, let's all back up. Let's all go take our taps, like our healing taps, all 5 of us. Let's take our healing taps and then force. The reason this is really good is because now you have like a health advantage when you're actually at a disadvantage because some of you might be at around 75%. The healing tap actually heals more than that. So you'll basically have like a buffered mouth heal on you and you'll be at 100% life for a few seconds, and that'll give you basically enough to finish the shrine and maybe even get like 1 kill or whatever, but generally enough to win the shrine. So that's generally the game plan. This is like a very simple map. If you have a lot of CC heroes, like you have a ton of CC, generally a good strategy is to break the side wall, and dive them after the first 2 turrets and kill them while like the Punisher is jumping on them. If you don't have a lot of dive heroes, or on the flip side they have a lot of CC, like they have Garrosh, KT, a lot of heroes with stuns, you don't want to break the sidewall. Just focus the 2 turrets because that does like a lot of damage to your Punisher. Generally with a lot of Punishers, if they pull it over the wall properly, like you're not gonna get that much. You might get like 2, at least early game. You might get 2 turrets and like they're probably not their well, but maybe their well, and like a decent amount of like fort damage, like 33% or whatever. But that's generally like you're not getting that much with the objective. Like this map's kind of like a little stupid, like with the objective. The objective needs to be stronger. But yeah, late game the objective is obviously a lot stronger. So let's say your Punisher just ended. What you want to be doing is you want to keep one person bot, and like while they're all bot clearing the Punisher, maybe you can get a quick turret. Maybe you can go to like the exact opposite of the map, opposite side of the map. Like let's say they were bot, you can maybe send like 4 people top, get like a quick turret or whatever. If like you're not comfortable, like you have like a team that's like playing like really aggressive and making stupid mistakes, you can just chill, tell your team, oh, let's back up, let's go back to clearing waves or whatever. Okay, let's say you have talent tier advantage on them, and people do not do this so much on shrines, and it's such a mistake. Let's say you have level 10 and they're level 9, and they're not that close to level 10. They're not even 9.5. They're like 9.25 to just a 9 or whatever. You want to look for the next like shrine indicator because it's not going to be in the same lane. If it's bot, the next one's going to be mid or top. After I'd say about 25 to 30 seconds, the shrine indicator is going to show up. The second you see the shrine indicator, you want to tell your team, we need to get their healing fountain in that lane. So you're like with your ultimate advantage, like you have 10 on them, you take their wall and then you take their well. If you get their well, that basically increases your chances of winning that shrine spawn by 20%. Reason why is you have like all 5 of you have a healing fountain and they don't. It's like a second healer if you don't have that much sustain. It's basically a really good snowballing mechanic. Like what a lot of people end up doing is they're like, oh, let's go invade their camps. That's a mistake. I mean, you can take their siege camp, like the camp that like has the 3 things shooting the thing. Actually, I might as well say this while we're talking about that. If you take their camp and then you have like a character like KT or something, if you Q over the wall the second you cap, those 3 minion things will actually hit the healing fountain over the wall and they can't kill it, so you get their healing fountain for free. So that's also like another way you can get their healing fountain middle that a lot of people don't do. Obviously you can only do it if you have a hero that can get vision of their healing fountain as you're capping, so that's like something you have to consider. If you can't do that, obviously just use your 10 advantage and just take the well, like bully it down with ultimates, like be like, let's get the wall on the well. So yeah, that's generally how Infernal Shrines is played. Like all of the shrines go exactly the same way. You want to be getting like the pumpkin things, focusing them down. If you obviously don't have a team with good pumpkin clear, you want to be looking for the fight early, like 0-0. You want to be looking to trade damage, because if they get a big lead, they're gonna get it. It doesn't matter if you kill them. Like obviously it helps you clear it quicker, but like they're gonna get the shrine anyways, and there's nothing you could do about it. So yeah, you wanna, if you're like the team with low pumpkin clear and a lot of CC and a lot of burst damage, you want to be like focusing the fight. You want to be bringing the fight to them and getting kills. If you get like 1 or 2 kills, like you can just probably get it anyways, which is kind of nice. And they might like funnel in and give you even more picks because they're like, oh, we need to stop them. But yeah, that's generally Infernal Shrines. It's a very simple map. It's like a lot of people's favorite maps because it's so simple. I don't like it because it's simple. I like maps with abusable mechanics. That's why we're talking about this. So yeah, that's Infernal Shrines. So Sky Temple, this is in my opinion the worst map out of all of them in the rotation. And the reason why is this. Sky Temple can basically, if you're winning, you will always win. And people always like are like, what? This doesn't make that much sense. But Sky Temple basically has mechanics where you cannot lose. So I'm going to go over all of them. And Sky Temple is a map where you really want to have immaculate play in the early game. You want to be doing all of the right like map abuse stuff, and I'm going to go over them right now. So game starts or whatever, you don't actually have to go for the watchtower always. Basically what you want to be doing is you want to look at your 5 heroes, then look at their 5 heroes. If you think they have the advantage early game with their 5 heroes, you just tell your team, like a big advantage at least, you just tell your team, you know, we don't have to fight for the altar. The watchtower. But let's just say you have certain characters with like a lot of really good scaling abilities, like Hanzo and like Chromie, who like need a stack. Like let's say Hanzo went W level 1, then even if you are a little bit weaker, you can just like let them have the point, but like, you know, get your stacks, like Chromie stacks or whatever. On the flip side though, if the other team has like, you know, Crash Lightning Thrall randomly, or you know, a Chromie or a Hanzo with W, you can like honestly give the watchtower, it's not that valuable. They'll come mid and you can just take it back anyways when you're going top. So yeah, that's generally the rule about watchtower. It's not that important, but yeah. So you go mid or whatever, you clear mid wave, they clear mid wave, you go bot. Like then you can do your siege camp at 1 minute. That camp doesn't matter too much. You might as well just knock it out for the EXP. But what really matters is you want to get that Knights camp out quickly. Like if you have a character that can get the Knights camp out quickly, or 2 people that can do it out quickly, you want to knock that out, and that's just a guaranteed wall no matter what, if they don't do theirs at least. If both people do theirs, then obviously it's more of like a neutral situation. But let's say you get their wall or whatever, you want to be playing for the top temple when mid and top spawn. The reason you want to be playing for top is the top shots will go straight onto their well right away, so they won't have a well, and you'll be getting their fort. Top will get the fort no matter what always. Mid shots will not get the mid fort most of the time, unless they have like a hero already smacking the turrets mid, which generally doesn't happen like 90% of the time. But generally, if you're playing top though, for top, you're gonna want to have one person who's double soaking mid and bot. So you want to tell that guy, yo, clear the mid wave, go bot, clear that wave, and just, you know, rinse and repeat, kind of like a Zul, Golan, whatever. You don't have to play one of those heroes. You just want to be clearing the waves and rotating. So if you generally employ this strategy, you'll get an early game advantage. And we're going to now go into more detail about why Sky Temple is such a snowbally map. So if you get 10 first and you have like a sizable lead, like 10-9, just rip boss on spawn. Just rip it and take it. Generally around the time you get level 10, the bot altar will spawn. So now that boss is pushing, you have to deal with it. You can drain all of the shots bottom, and you can reevaluate your situation there. So while boss is pushing and they're clearing it, you're also going to take the fort guaranteed for sure, because you're getting the bot shots. You can maybe have like 1 or 2 heroes like pushing mid 2 and get the mid fort 2 for free, which is super nice. And then at this point you have like a severe fort advantage on them, and this is where the game just becomes over. So you have a severe advantage of forts on them. You can just now trade temples forever, and they have no choice but to like force fights on you. But when they force fights on you, you can just run away and go push somewhere else, go steal their camps. Like let's say there's a two spawn, like a two temple spawn. That's like your favorite situation if you're ahead. You can just, they're gonna have 5 heroes running mid. You can just have one person beeline bot and just trade and soak. Um, you can just keep merry-go-rounding and like getting shots over time. And let's say they try to do a greedy rotation, like some guys like, oh, fuck it, like I'll stay on mid and you guys run bot and we'll hold both. You can just go kill that guy middle, and then you get the temple again anyways. So it's kind of like that. Generally, when it's a one temple spawn and you have a big building, what you're generally going to be wanting to do is like you can fight and poke them, but you don't want to take a full-on fight because you have like a big fort advantage of them. If you're like on the other side of the map with the temple and they're like, oh, we have to get this temple, you can like steal their siege camp, or if like the one temple's bottom, you can steal their knights camp and even push top and focus their keep because the fort's already gone. Generally, it's all about like dodging them. If there's literally nothing to do, let's say it's like a middle spawn, there's just nothing to do. Like their middle and top forts are gone, and the mid fort's gone too, and the mid and top waves are pushed in like really deep. Like generally at that point, you can just poke it, get them low. If you get them low, then you can get the shots, but you don't want to be taking a full-on 5v5 because you've already like almost secured the game with like a severe fort advantage. You just want to wait for a double spawn, you want to wait for your camps, and you want to just pressure the map. And generally a lot of the time when you have these fort advantages, you also have a talent tier 2. So if you have a talent tier advantage, they're going to just give you the one spawn temple anyways. So yeah, because most of the time if you have fort advantages on them, like they probably can't fight you anyways. So let's say all of their forts are down and you're draining like keep shots or whatever. You can just keep trading forts for keeps if like they want to. Let's say like it's a top and a bottom spawn and like you've got one person top or whatever and they send their whole team top. You can literally just have one person on the bot shots and then the rest of your team goes bottom and push the keep. They're gonna recall and go push defend the bot keep. Then you guys can go top and get that. And now it gets to a point where you're in a checkmate scenario. This is the reason why. A lot of like the late game sky temples are usually double spawns, like double temple spawns. Most of the time it's a double temple spawn. Let's say like their keeps are knocked down, like 2 of the keeps are knocked down and it's double spawn. Here's where you're at the checkmate scenario. You can have one person top, one person bot, and 3 heroes literally just rush their core. If they defend you guys running at their core, you just get both the temples and you win. If they have like multiple people on the top temple and the bottom temple and they're trying to fight you there, you just literally win the game on core. Let's say they just split up their numbers like exactly the way you split up their numbers. Like let's say they have one person still top, one person still bot, and 3 people defending their core. You can just literally have the 3 people who are going to core pull off and go back to the temples, and because they had to recall, they're obviously behind you. You can go and kill the people who are alone on both those temples, and then they're checkmated again. So no matter what, it's a checkmate scenario if you're ahead a lot on Sky Temple. That's part of the reason why I say I hate the map. It's honestly one of my highest win rate maps, but I don't like maps where you have like, I guess, no comeback mechanics, 6.5 out of 10. But yeah, that's kind of how Sky Temple works. Generally you want to be playing safe, being patient, but it's one of those maps that just, if you can play really good early game, you just snowball it and win it. It's probably a very snowballing map, even though it's a late game map. Like not late game, but it goes generally late, like it gets to 20 or whatever. Yeah. So the next map now is Tomb of the Spider Queen. This map is also extremely simple, but it's generally actually a late game map. A lot of people think this map is oh, get first turn in or whatever and you win the game. That's not actually true. We'll go over that a little bit later, but we're gonna go over like what you want to be doing. So it's kind of like Dragonshire. It's a lot of tempo. What you want to be doing is you want to have a wave clear hero like Gul'dan or something, one person on your team with decent wave clear, and you want to clear mid, then top, then mid. But here's when you want to be turning in the gems that everybody makes a mistake on. So you clear mid, you have the superior wave clear. They have to clear your wave slower than you. So they're clearing mid. You go top now, you're top first. You clear top wave. Now they're coming top to clear top. Then you go mid again. You clear mid wave. As they're rotating, after they're like, as you're clearing mid, they're just clearing top. So they're rotating from top back to mid. Your time to dump in the gems is bot. Like the bot one. You never want to be turning your gems in top. I see people do this so much and it's just absolute like blasphemy. Like you do not turn in your gems top. The reason why it's so like they're rotating between mid and top to clear. So like they're gonna see you turning in if they have like any eyes whatsoever. So you always want to be turning in your gems bottom, and you only want to be turning your gems in bottom if you have superior wave clear. If for some reason you're pushing them in and they're like sneaking in their 5 to 10 gems, like they're missing a lot of soak and taking like wall damage because like you're beating them in the thing, like the lane rotation. On the flip side, like if they have way better wave clear than you, and you know, like you don't have any wave clear hero for some reason, even though that generally shouldn't happen, like you kind of just have to let them turn in their 5 or 10 at a time, and when they get really close, then you can watch it more carefully, because generally some heroes might be getting their wave clear talents at like a different talent. Like for instance, like maybe you're playing Hanzo and you get explosive arrows at level 4 and you don't have the superior wave clear early. Like they're gonna maybe get in 20 gems in for free. There's nothing you can do. There's no point in going bot and trying to stop them, because you're gonna be taking a lot of wall damage, which is generally what you want to be not want to be doing. But that's generally the main gist of things. You want to be always turning in bot. You always want to be keeping the tempo lead. If you've already gotten like most of your gems in and you have like a big advantage, like after you're clearing mid, after you went from top, maybe you can have one person fuck with bottom, like maybe you can get a kill. But generally getting a life lead for your soul laner is nice, because now they can dump in there like 20 gems or whatever, because they're always stockpiling their gems in and not getting a chance to turn in, because like the one other soul laner is going to stop them. So that's generally what you can do when you don't have that many gems. So let's say they're about to get a turn in, right? And you guys don't have like the health bars to, you know, stop it. Just let it through. Like what ends up happening a lot of the time where people are like, oh, GG, they got first turn and we lost. It's what you're not seeing, the reason why they're snowballing. One person always dies right before they turn in, and that's the reason why their turn in gets so much. If you have all 5 heroes alive, you didn't give that kills experience, and that one person can, you know, deal damage and clear like the spiders. The spiders are kind of a good objective. They're on the better side of the maps on objective value. It's a pretty good objective. But if you have wave clear heroes, the worst of the worst you'll generally lose from a turn-in is 1 level, and that's not that much. It's like, it's a good amount, but 1 level is like, it's manageable. And a lot of the times what a team does is they 5-man like a lane with their turn-in, and they miss both the side lanes of soak, and it's like, it's incredibly unlikely, like probably 3%, but there's some times where if you get even 1 kill randomly because they're like doing something stupid and you're getting the side soak, you might actually come ahead in soak. So that's another thing. But yeah, that's like if you're defending. Now let's say you've gone the first turn on the spiders. So generally what you want from your first objective, and it's always the same goal, is you want 4 to 6 turrets. It doesn't matter which 4 to 6 turrets. Like it can be 2 mid, 1 bot, 1 top, or like whatever order of turrets. But you want to be focusing turrets in all 3 of the lanes. You want to make sure you're covering all lanes of the soak, because like the spiders take the soak. Obviously your soul laner is going to be getting the bot lane. If you've already got 3 people mid, you want to go top and push that in. But yeah, generally 4 turrets is pretty nice. If you get 6, that's amazing. If you get 6, that's like you've snowballed the game substantially. Even 5 is pretty good, but 4 is generally what you want. Like whatever, it doesn't matter which 4 turrets. Like you can get 2 top, 2 bot, 2 mid, and like 1 from each other lane. But generally if you get 4, that's a good enough EXP lane. Let's say your spiders run out, you want to go back to doing the exact same thing you just did with like what I said earlier in mid and top, whatever. If you get 10 first, and they have enough gems to turn in, you actually want to let them turn in, and you want to do the boss. The reason why is the boss will literally just neutralize that top lane of their turn in, the spider, and it'll get value for you for free. And then you only have 2 lanes to clear now. It's not that hard, and they're gonna have to have clear heroes, like at least 1 hero clearing that boss. So now they can only have 4 people on mid and bot side of the map, while you have 5, so you have a numbers advantage. So they'll literally just have to let you clear for free, and if they don't, like they're sticking with their spiders outnumbered, you can just kill them, which is really nice. But yeah, a lot of people make this misconception when they have 10 that they're like, oh, we have to stop turn-ins and kill them. No, you rip the boss. If they come to stop you and they're 9 to 10, just kill them with your ultimates. I know I keep saying that on a lot of the maps, but it works. Like, people come to the boss and contest you down ultimates, and you just kill them. So yeah, same game plan. Now here's the most important thing about Tomb of the Spider Queen that people make a big mistake on. Let's say you get a catapults advantage on them, even one lane, but let's just say two. You have 2 lanes of catapults on them. Their turn in is absolutely worthless. If you have a hero death 1 or 2, or not even if you have a hero death, let's say they have like big health advantages, like your team is low and their team's healthy, literally just give the turn in. The catapults do so much to the spiders that it's like, it takes way longer for the lane to push if it's pushed out already. Like, you can just clear the lane that there's not catapults for free, and then like by the time like the spiders are reaching like your forts or like keeps, like it'll be low, and like they just won't get that much value basically if you have catapults. Even one lane of catapults is kind of nice because that it's still one lane that's like gonna get basically cleared for free, or the spiders are gonna get damaged a lot. So yeah, late game turn-ins for a team that's down catapult lanes is not that valuable. If anything, it's just a tool to get them back on the same talent tier as you. Like, the worst thing you could do, and a lot of dumb people do this, is they try to contest the turn-in when they're up catapults, die, and they've got a 50-second death timer, especially if it's 2 people who die, 50-second death timer on 2 people. Now they can push that lane that's not catapult, get their own catapults, and if like you guys die while you're defending that keep, they can actually core the game. And what goes from being a seemingly almost unlosable game, because catapults are literally insane on Tomb of the Spider Queen, goes to a game where you just literally threw like an almost unlosable game. So yeah, that's basically Tomb of the Spider Queen. It's pretty simple. Everything I said, you want to be just doing the same thing over and over again. So yeah, now we're going to Towers of Doom. Towers of Doom is a map where you generally want to be controlling the bot fort as much as possible. The mid fort and the top fort are absolutely useless. Their only use is for 6 capping after you win a big team fight and you've already taken bot. So the reason why taking their bottom keeper fort is so incredibly important is this. A lot of the time, I'm just going to show you like with my hand. Like, let's say this box is like the entire mini-map. So there's going to be like an altar at the top left side, an altar on the top right side, an altar right here, and an altar down here. And let's say this is your side of the map and this is their side of the map. If you have their bot keep and an altar spawns here, you get it no matter what. If a double spawn goes here and here, you get this no matter what. And their only routes of coming into team fight are this choke point right here from the mid keep side, and this choke point here. And if they come from this side, they literally can only run from one angle back because you have the fort, right? So if you have certain heroes like Stukov, Chromie, whatever, and they try to contest this one, you will literally have like a big team fight advantage. You don't want to let them funnel into middle, because if that happens, like, it'll be a little easier for them, but you still have the advantage. They can't run this way anymore. They still only have 2 modes of escape. So if they're losing the team fight, you always know where they're going. So yeah, that's why bot's so important. Another reason why bot's so important is you have a sapper camp right here. They have a sapper camp. You can just have people defending it and doing the sappers on spawn and getting pumpkin leads that way. I didn't actually mention this, but when you have control of the bottom keep, you want to have 4 people bottom and 1 person double soaking. Generally the person with the most wave clear. Generally the bruiser, like hopefully it's a Sonya, Dehaka, Malthael, anything, a bruiser, any bruiser you have. He's going to be clearing mid and top. So yeah, you just generally want to be doing pumpkins on spawn, clearing. You're just chilling there. You're having a good time, just chilling, camping the fort, not letting them do damage. So let's say you have pumpkins coming in, like they come in here and here or whatever. They're going to be doing some like risky shit just to clear your pumpkins. You can trade a lot of damage and make them low and maybe even get kills. If you get them low enough, maybe you'll actually get some pumpkins in. But yeah, you generally are not going to be getting that many pumpkins in unless you get a kill. It's just fine. You're making them low. You're generally, when you're holding the bot fort, your game plan is just wait for altars and just take them because you have a severe advantage. Let's say the altars, this generally happens a lot of time. Let's say the altars spawn here and here. What you want to do is just trade yours. You take yours, they cap theirs, and you have your team zoning on like this like tiny bush. let's say it spawns here, here, and here. You generally want to trade like the top ones and have your team like one person top trading the top ones, and you want to have your team defending like this one. Those are like the worst spawns you're gonna get. They don't happen that often. Generally, what happens a lot of the time is like one spawns here, one spawns here, one spawns here and here, and you just have a severe advantage. So that's basically all there is to towers. If their shot count is really low, like they only have 10 shots left and you win like a fight, you can take boss. But yeah, generally what you want to be doing if they've taken your bot keep is, I mean, there's really like not much you can do, because if they're defending it properly, you just kind of need to get a kill, but like you can't fight under their fort. That's why it's so bad to lose your bot fort on this map. If you lose it and they're defending it, like they're not going mid and doing some stupid crap or doing camps, all doing camps and not having anybody defending the fort, like you can obviously take it back, but it's kind of like similar a little bit to like the checkmate scenario in Sky Temple. You have to just win a fight in a disadvantageous situation to get the fort back. Like there's no strategy at that point. So that's why the bot keep is so important. But yeah, that's basically towers. So yeah, you have the guy double soaking and holding the bot keep. That's basically everything. So the last map in all of these battlegrounds is Volskaya. So Volskaya is basically a map where it goes generally pretty late. It's not a very difficult map. It's kind of a team fighting map. Like you're generally going to be team fighting here. There's not much like to it. Like there's a lot of fights, but basically what you want to be doing is like the solo lane is always bottom, so the solo laner is bottom. You want to be rotating between mid and top. Rotating doesn't matter too much. Just clear the waves, whatever. There's no like turn in or whatever. It's kind of simple. But like generally around 1 minute, if you have like a big lead in rotations, maybe you can like go do the turret camp. There's going to be like a camp on the top left and the top right, depending on which side you are. You don't want to actually do that camp until the objective spawns. The reason why is like they can just clear it for free. You want to get like value out of it. You want to like while all the heroes are fighting on the point, you want to have that camp pushing and maybe getting value for you. So yeah, you want to be doing your turret as much as possible. The reason why is if you do your turret on spawn, when the objective spawns, you might be able to do the turret a second time. And they might do their turret late, and you might get 2 turrets instead of 1. So now, let's say the objective has spawned, like the fighting point, like the big platform. Generally, what you want to be doing is you want to be on the lookout for when they're using their turret. If they use their turret, you're going to like want to tell your team to drop your turret. And so then like, you know, they're not like out damaging you or whatever, getting a severe advantage. You want to actually focus their turret first over the heroes. The turret does a lot of damage. If you can break their turret and have yours still up, they can't fight you. You can kite like into your turret, fight in your turret, and it's almost like having a 6th hero, which is pretty nice. Yeah. Generally, there's not really like much strategy for like what you should be doing on the platform. Generally, just it's a team fight. You know, it's not really like there's not really any specific strategy. But I'm going to tell you the strategies on what you're supposed to do if you get the objective. So let's say you get the objective, the big tree glove protector. You want to push mid wall, just the wall, only the wall mid. Take the wall, like the 2 turrets mid, and then you want to go top. Take the 2 turrets top, and then you want to take the well top. That's generally enough. If you can get 4 turrets and the well, it's a job well done. You've gotten everything you wanted with the objective. It'll give you a lot of EXP, and the next objective, the next platform spawns top, so they're not going to have a well for that fight, so you have a big advantage. Let's say sometimes they're not hitting your protector, and you've gotten the 2 turrets mid, the 2 turrets top, and the well. You're generally going to have like 25 seconds left on the Triglav protector. You can just take the fort if it's healthy, like 60%. Generally, most of the time, you're only going to have like 20% health left on the protector. You can just smack it a little bit, but you need to back up when the health gets really low, like around 10%, because you might have like a squishy in there, or you might be a squishy piloting it, and they're going to just jump you the second it explodes and kill you if you don't back up. So yeah. The top fight, like when the top one spawns, it's the same strategy. But here's like an important thing that you should be doing. If you're like level 12 and they're level 11, and the platform's about to spawn, you should actually give it up, the platform, right away. Give up percentage. You should just look to get level 13. You should look to steal their camp, look to take your own camp, look to push bottom lane. You just want to get 13, because if you have the experience advantage on them, and you you even increase that experience advantage by, because they're standing on the platform and you're not, like your team's out there soaking, you'll get 13 first, and you can finish the platform before they get 13, because they weren't doing the same thing as you, and that basically guarantees you the second objective, because now you have a talent tier, and maybe you went to the bottom, like maybe they had 3 people on the platform, and you go bottom right and you steal their turret. Turret's more valuable than healing camp, so if they're like, oh, you know what, they're stealing our turret, we'll take healing camp. Turret's a little bit better, because you can actually like whack at the healing camp and kill it fairly easily, and it doesn't heal that much. Yeah. So you get a talent lead, and you basically get the second objective. So let's say you get the second objective. Generally, what you want to be doing with the second objective is you actually don't want to take the top fort. If the top fort's really low, just take it, obviously. But if it's like full health, the strategy with the second objective is you want to pull it all the way down bottom and push the bot wall, bot fort, and then go and get the bot keep wall. If you can get the bot keep wall, that's generally really good. The reason you're doing this is the third objective is always going to spawn bottom. If you can get 20 on the third objective, which you generally do most of the time, it's going to be a 20-20 fight, or 20, like one team's going to at least be 20 on the third platform objective. If you have at least a wall down, a lot of what ends up happening on the third platform fight is they fight downtown, like you're 20 and they're not, like it's like their last stand. Even one person dies, even just one person dies, and the keep wall is exploded, you can just go keep and then core. The third objective does so much damage. If both the pilot and the gunner are literally only focusing buildings, and nobody on your team just dies for free, you can just go keep core and game's over. So that's generally the game plan. Everything that I've said for all of these maps, you generally want to be doing the same thing every single time, like in every game. And I described the flip side, like if you're behind what you're supposed to be doing, and when you're ahead. So generally, if you watch my stream, I pretty much do the same exact thing every single game on all of these maps. I don't do, like, if I ever do something differently, I'm probably just trying to have fun, and I'm trolling a little bit because I know, like, my team's gonna win no matter what. I'm generally up like 4 levels or something, and I'm just trying to have like a good time. Like in the private coaching sessions, you're gonna see that a lot of the time that I'm gonna like try to work around your hero pool to allow you to play heroes you have fun, especially in your off roles, like picking heroes that you have fun with only on the maps that they might do well on. And then like sometimes obviously you're gonna need to play heroes that like you're good with, but you don't have as much fun playing with. That's more on the private coaching. That's not during this session, but that covers all of the map mechanics and passive ways to get advantages. I'm gonna be making new videos that go over like certain mechanics on like solo laning and like 4-manning stuff that like might give you advantages when trying to clear minion waves and stuff. But this is basically the first coaching guide, and thank you everybody for watching. But yeah.